What's up, people? It's Fernando Ramirez, and I have promos to read. At this rate, it won't be long before Gilbert starts his avocado business. But before the Compas get the money back, I'm here to say go check out Brewery X on La Palma Beer Trail in Anaheim. They have more than 30 beers to choose from and 10 top-notch choices for hard seltzer. Gilbert loves all the selections at Brewery X, so go check it out because you might see the Compas there soon. They're open every day from 11 a.m. to midnight. Brewery X also offers curbside pickup from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. For more information, the website link is on the Compas episode description. So check out Brewery X in Anaheim after listening to Compas on the Beat. We have the amazing Kirsten Watson joining us, the Dodgers reporter on Spectrum Sportsnet LA. So let's get to Compas on the Beat and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Compas on the Beat. I am Fernando Ramirez, Chargers beat reporter for Sports Illustrated. With me, as always, my co-host Gilbert Manzano, Chargers beat reporter for the OC Register and LA Daily News. What's up, bro?
What's up, Fernando? That was a very squeaky "What's up, bro?" But I gotta say, I'm back. I made it back in time for Compas on the Beat. I'm ready to go,
bro. You look rested. Did you have fun on your vacation? Tell us a little bit about your experiences this weekend. How'd it go?
Dude, I don't know about rested, but I look better than I did 2 hours ago. But yes, I got back from vacation maybe about 2 hours, an hour ago, 90 minutes since we started recording Compas on the Beat. I'm glad to be on the show. But I went to Dallas, Texas, to kind of get a little mini vacation after the NFL draft. And, I got to, go to the Canelo fight. I got to go to a Rangers game. So it was good overall.
Man, honestly, and this is the fun part about Gilbert's and I's relationship. We're like texting like all day or whatever, like, oh, little things, little ideas that we want to bring for you guys and the show and stuff. And I told him, like, on Friday, I texted him, I'm like, so I can't text you at all this weekend? He said, nope. I'm like, okay. So I sat there for 3 days just waiting. He finally texted me back this morning. And I was expecting, like, what's up, bro? Or something exciting. I got a, hey, what time are we doing this today? I was like, okay, I guess no hi, no, hey, bro, how are you doing? Nada. I was like, okay, that's cool. Don't worry about it. No hard feelings. And then he tells me he was waiting for his luggage. And I'm like, oh, my present. That means my present is going to be huge. He needed a suitcase to bring back my present. So I'm excited for that.
No, man. Like, first of all, I'll give you credit for that. You left me alone for 3 days. But there's no gift for you, man. I was there to unwind, and I'll put it this way: if I get a gift for you, I got a gift for everybody. So
that's
I
true.
know people like to do magnets and keychains, but not this guy. Not your compa here. One day I'll get you a big gift, but not today. I'm sorry, but yeah, I know you were kind of giving me some flack for checking in my baggage. You say you only do a carry-on. I'm like, bro, I got a lot of things. I got to look pretty.
I have no patience.
I got other shoes to put on there. And I went Southwest, and they bags fly free there. So
they do a good job.
It was okay. So overall, it was a good trip. It was a really early flight, but I got to say, I really like going to the Rangers ballpark. I think Globe Life Field, and eventually I want to complete all 30 ballparks and the big leagues and go to all of them. But I'm halfway, man. I'm at 15 ballparks, so I'm getting there, and it was cool to get a fight out the way, a Canelo fight. Ask me about that a little bit because there was some stories on the Canelo fight, but it was cool to go see another ballpark to add to my list.
I'm at 2 ballparks.
Wait, what? Dodger Stadium and Petco?
Yeah. No. I've never been to Dodger Stadium. I've only been to Petco and Yankee Stadium.
What?
I know. I went to opening day Yankees Orioles a couple of years ago with Daniel and Melissa. We went on a siblings trip. We try and do one every year. And we went to New York and we went to opening day. I told my brother and my sister, whatever we do, I have to go to opening day. We went to the White House. We went to Washington, D.C. My brother and I, Melissa, had a final to take, or a midterm. Daniel and I went to the White House. We did all this fun stuff, but we only went to one baseball game, and I had to go to Yankee Stadium. So that was I've only been to Yankee Stadium and Petco Park. I need to improve my baseball game. I really don't look like when I go to cities and stuff. I never look for baseball. I either look for football, I look for if wrestling's there, or I look for something like that, something interesting. I really don't ever look at baseball. And now now that you told me 15, I'm like, crap, maybe I should be doing a lot more baseball stadium stuff.
I'm very surprised, but when I travel for Chargers games, and especially the games in September and October, I make sure to see if there's a baseball team in town that I haven't been to the stadium. I think for me, the last one I went to was the Chargers are playing the Detroit Lions, so I have to go to a Tigers game. So that worked out for me
Oh
to add
wow,
to my list. But Fernando, I am very
I'm
shocked. You
lagging.
never been no Angels, no Giants, nothing in California besides the Padres. Well, you're such a San Diego homer. What's up with that, man?
No, I'm not being a San Diego homer. It's just that I mean, baseball never really was my thing. I've gotten into it basically the last 2 or 3 years. Before that, I was kind of the Padres suck, so I mean, I'd be like, whatever. Like they had some Khalil Green, they had some good guys on their team and everything, but there just wasn't that much oomph in there. So I was like, So I really didn't pay attention to baseball. It was always basketball. I mean, dude, I grew up in that Kobe era. I mean, to me, that was like, oh my god, like I get to watch Kobe Bryant. Fun fact: one time they come down here and they play a preseason game, and it was Kobe coming back from his Achilles, and everybody chanting MVP, MVP. Like the stadium was drowned in MVP chants, and it was the Lakers against the Warriors, and there were some Warrior fans, but the Lakers fans were drowning out the Warriors fans, and like they would try and say Steph Curry was an MVP. It was right around when the Warriors were starting to get really good, and the Laker fans just start going boo. Like every time Steph Curry would touch the ball, boo, and like they would do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, no, I think I need to do better. I need to do better when it comes to going to baseball stadiums. What?
We got to take it to Dodger Stadium for sure.
Yeah, I'd be down.
I know you maybe a Dodgers Padres game might be out of our price range because those tickets are insane, but that'd be nice to do that. But Fernando, you know what I find funny about you? Now that we're sponsored by, Garrison Brothers Bourbon, alcohol, Brewery X, you have a show saying you don't drink, but we're sponsored by them. Yeah. And then now we have a show with the great Kirsten Watson, Dodgers reporter, and now you're saying you're not into baseball that much. Like, what's going on?
No. I didn't say. I said I wasn't. Like growing up, I really wasn't into it all that much. I mean, I would go to Qualcomm to go when my mom would get free tickets from work and stuff. But like, it just if it's not a contact sport, I mean, it would just get hard to watch. So I would get bored sometimes. But now I've found the fascination with baseball. I mean, I've seen it. I understand now why people love it. So now I'm a little bit more into it. So I've been to 2 Padre games this year. Hopefully, when the Dodgers come down in June, your compas will be out there at Petco Park. Maybe we could do a little something special out there. It'd be fun. I mean, we already have some T-shirts made. I mean, wear the T-shirts, walk around Petco Park, maybe do a little something. So like I said, I'm down to go wherever anybody invites me to. I'm down, and I'm not saying for free. I'll pay my way, but I'll go anywhere anyone invites me. So I'm definitely down to check out a couple more stadiums.
I'm starting to think you're only a Padres fan because of Fernando Tatis. You have the same name, you're Tocayo, so that's probably only reason, right?
Bro, I was in the locker room. I'm talking to him. I was the only one speaking. I could speak Spanish, so he was getting hyped by what I was asking him. And then he asked me what my name was. I'm like, Fernando. Then he goes, Tocayo. Yeah, heck yeah. And we started having fun and everything. So yeah, bro. I mean, I'm gonna get hyped. That's my boy right there, Fernando. Fernando's do it differently, bro. What can I tell you? I mean, we're a different breed.
Well, okay, we got to add that number up a little higher. But Fernando, I wasn't just in Dallas for the Rangers game. I was, like I mentioned, I was also there to watch the Canelo.
So you're not even gonna ask me about my weekend, how my weekend went? I mean, I know you're trying to jump into that, but
we haven't. Well, my weekend is. I don't know where you taught my weekend, so we'll get to yours eventually. We kind of like we'll brush it under the rug. But I just got to say about one thing, like the Canelo fight against Billy Joe Saunders was cool. A big, massive crowd of 73,000 people at AT&T Stadium. And, I needed a vacation. I thought, Dallas was a good vacation spot because there was 2 things I wanted to do: go to a fight post-pandemic, and a Rangers game for the list. And I missed kind of being in a big fight setting. But then I forgot why I hate big crowds. And I just totally overlooked the 73,000 people, which is, I think, the biggest indoor fight attendance in the United States is like the 1920s. So it was like a record-setting crowd. But yeah, so you forget the things that come with leaving events, and one of them, you want to drink, you want to have a good time, so you don't drive, you get a ride share, you get an Uber or a Lyft, and somebody's going to take you home one way or another. But coming out of post COVID, and you forget things that, things are going to be an adjustment. Things are going to take a time to get used to it. So when you have 73,000 people coming out AT&T Stadium, everybody's asking for an Uber and a Lyft. And to begin with, there's already a shortage of drivers because, COVID stuff, and people are not ready to go back to work yet, just some safety precautions. So imagine 73,000 people, drunk people, trying to get a ride share. There's not going to be enough. There's not enough supply for the high demand. So I think, being essential time, the fight ended like around midnight. We didn't really get a ride until 2:30 in the morning, and it was just chaos all around. I think it's called Texas Live, where it's like a bunch of bars, and people, like some people hung out at the bars, which is a cool little scene. If you go to Dallas, right in front of the Globefield Life, there's a cool little kind of atmosphere, night spot. But they close everything around 1:00, so you see people now trying to get their Ubers and their Lyft, and everybody's waiting and wait. Nobody's coming. No cars are coming. So people start getting frustrated. I saw people walking without shoes because they're wearing heels. I saw a lot of drunk people. I saw people throw up. I saw people crying. I saw people frustrated. I saw people say, "Where are the taxis?" And you haven't heard the word taxis in a very long time, but people are getting desperate. They're walking. For us, we got a taxi. I had to stop a taxi that was driving by, and luckily he stopped and took us all the way home back to Dallas downtown. And it cost a big chunk of change. It was kind of like, bro, just take us home. I don't care what's the price. It's 2:30 in the morning. We got to get back. So that was kind of a little nightmare scenario. But so people out there who are ready to go back to big events, concerts, have a driver ready, because it's kind of a mess out there.
Dude, that sounds like that WWE story from a couple of years ago when they were in New York and WrestleMania was in New York, and they wouldn't there was no transportation, no taxis, no Ubers, because it's out in New Jersey. But that's how it is here. It's out in Arlington. It's not in Dallas. So that's the crazy. I mean, I've been to Jerry's World before when the Chargers played the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So man, that is crazy. 2.5 hours.
I was on the verge of texting you, come get me, man. Like, come fly right now and pick me up.
I got you. I would have been out there so quick. I mean, the other thing is, I would have gone with Daniel, and Daniel loves that atmosphere so much. I don't think I would have been able to bring him back. But but definitely, like, that's incredible. That is crazy. 2.5 hours. Was the fight worth it at least? I mean, I remember I was watching Canelo, and he was moving her head bopping, boom, boom, and then bang, there it goes, right in the eye socket. And he's like, and I remember he turns, he goes, "Ya se acabó," and I'm like, dang, this dude was confident that it was over.
Yeah, the fight was good, but it was just very crowded, and I couldn't even like get to the concession stands. And I don't complain a lot, but it was cool to be there, for the atmosphere. It was nice, and it was good to see a knockout, like you mentioned. Nice moves there, by the way. Shadow boxing there, Fernando. So you're watching on YouTube, you get to see the Fernando. I gotta give you a nickname for boxing, but we'll think of that because you're pretty good right there. Shadow boxing.
El Hermoso.
There you go, El Hermoso de Ramirez. But yeah, it was good to be there. It was kind of cool to finally get that energy. And I wasn't working, so I was there, being a fight fan. So that's what I wanted. It was just kind of the after stuff was a little chaotic, but overall it was a good time. But now let's get to you, Fernando. What did you do? You didn't text me for 3 days. I was kind of wondering, like, he actually listened to me, like he left me alone. I
respect boundaries.
I'm gonna say you were very busy. That you were doing. What were you doing?
Shoot, what did I? Oh, so like my mom had family over the weekend to celebrate Mother's Day and stuff on Saturday. So like I grilled some burgers. Got that on the grill. But then also, one of my good friends from NBC San Diego, Miguel Benavides, he decided to move to San Jose. He took a job with NBC in Telemundo in San Jose, and he was moving up there. And he's like, "Bro, come hang out. Like, let's go to the bar." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I go out there, and we hang out for a little bit, and then I had to come home, do some stuff, and then also do the grilling. So then I go, he texts me like later, and he's like, "Hey, are you still coming out for like," I'm like, "You guys are still going?" He's like, "Yeah, bro." I'm like, "All right, let's go." So as soon as I was done, I mean, we had family over and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But obviously, me on the grill. I love the grill. Bang, bang, bang. putting up some burgers and stuff. So then we go back out and we start talking, and he's like, bro, I said something about the podcast. He's like, oh, Gilberto. And I'm like, how do you know Gilberto? He's like, bro, I listen to the podcast. And then I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. And he's like, I love your guys' podcast. Like, it's so much fun. It's different. I'm like, oh, I appreciate it, bro. He's like, no. Like, you guys are awesome and all that. And and his, it's funny. His nickname is Texas. I call him Texas. So I'm like, what's up, Texas? Because he's from Texas. He loves his Cowboys. He loves his Rangers. He always will walk by me and go, hook 'em for the Texas Longhorns. So he loves this. And you talk about Patrick Mahomes, like he went to a third-rate Texas school in Texas Tech. They suck. I can't believe they're still in Division I. So you just start laughing. He's a great time, but he told me he loves the pod. Another friend of mine, Rafa, he told me, bro, I love what you guys are doing with that podcast. I'm like, oh, I appreciate it. So Compas are getting some love out there. And Miguel told me, he's like, bro, I got a prediction for you for next year. I'm like, you're already giving me a prediction? He's like, yeah, bro, it's the same prediction he gives me every year, but I'm gonna give it to you, Gilbert. He said the Cowboys are gonna win the 2022 Super Bowl. I'm like, wow, bro, that's a different prediction than you give me every year. And then he just starts laughing. He's like, I know. He's like, believe in Dak. He's like, that's my quarterback. So definitely my boy Miguel. I'm excited for him going to San Jose. He's honestly a great guy. Every time I was there at work, he'd come over, we start joking around. He'd always it was always a good time. So it was him, it was Rafa's girlfriend Ana Cristina, Diana, and then a good friend of ours, obviously, Amber. We all went out, and then we went over to Amber's house and just hung out, and it was a great time, honestly. And I hadn't seen a lot of NBC people since I've left, so it was good to see some of them. So I had a great time, but we stayed out till 4 a.m. I drove back home. I'm like walking out of Amber's apartment. I'm like, anybody want to walk me to my car? Cause it's late. And everybody's like, no. I'm like, okay, you guys are rude. So I walked back over to, I walked to my car and I drive back home. I get home and I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I went to sleep at like 4:30, wake up at 8 a.m. I'm like, nah, this ain't the business. I'm going to give myself another like 30, 40 minutes. Went back to sleep, woke up, had breakfast, celebrated a little bit with my mom and stuff, and we were watching a show and stuff, and and Daniel and I are watching the Padres game. Padres are up 5-0, and I'm kind of falling asleep. Oh, by the way, I watched the Real Madrid Sevilla game. Real Madrid got screwed, by the way, so I'm pissed at that. I just had to throw that out there. Yeah, VAR interfering. Madrid ties 2-2 when the cup is on the line. Yeah, of course. And you're reffing Thursday's game, so you better not screw me over, Gilbert. Yes. I'm serious. You better not screw me over. I'm gonna
Manzano.
Your Twitter is gonna be lighting up on Thursday for Real Madrid does not win.
You gotta let me know when he's refereeing games. Like I don't follow like Thursday. You gotta hit me up. Like, all right, I'm gonna check
Thursday.
See what he does.
It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, so it was a great weekend. I mean, celebrating my mom, having fun with some family members, and then obviously getting to say bye to Texas. Well, not bye to Texas, but like wishing him good luck in San Jose. So it was a great time. But yeah, he gave me that prediction. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, no, it was a great weekend, honestly. And obviously, I missed you, bro.
No, you were very busy. You didn't have time for me. 4 a.m. Bro. What are you doing till 4 a.m, man? I should have hit up your boy Texas to tell a friend that he knows from Texas to pick me up because I was out stranded, man. Like, why'd you tell me this? You should have texted me now,
bro. I didn't know you were out there waiting until 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, that is crazy.
I was already getting ready to get like a sleeping bag and just stay on the street. But anyways, you were busy yourself. That's why you couldn't text me. But whatever.
But I want to talk a little bit about the fight. I mean, that's what I'm really excited. I mean, obviously the crowd you said was nuts, but when I heard obviously, and I mean, I'm not laughing. I just think the British national anthem starts, and obviously it rains down boos, and then they go to the Mexican national anthem. Shout out to what was her name? She did the 17-year-old who did the national anthem.
Ángela Aguilar, Pepe Aguilar's daughter.
Pepe Aguilar's daughter? Oh wow, shout out. She did a great job. And then obviously the US national anthem, people were singing both the US national anthem and the Mexican national anthem. So that's a cool atmosphere when they sing along and everything. And then obviously Billy Joe Saunders comes out, he gets the crap booed out of him. And obviously I don't know if there was a lot of Tyson Fury fans in there because I heard him say, oh, this is going to be a knockout. Billy Joe Saunders is going to knock him out. That we came here to win. And I'm like, dude, a lot of people love you. I don't know if a lot of Mexican people are going to love you after this. Then Canelo comes out to cheers. I mean, now boxing's turned into full WWE. They have entrances. They have all this stuff, so that was awesome to see. But Gilbert, give us a little bit more. First of all, this is my first question. Did you ever get caught watching the big screen instead of watching the actual fight?
Yep, that's pretty much what I did most of the night. Was I was watching the big screen. It's massive. It's like a clear picture. So I wasn't there ringside as a reporter. So I had to kind of sit a little further back. So I had the best view. There were decent seats. But you're right. That thing is massive. I kept looking at it, and I think I watched the uppercut there in the 8th round. The Canelo, not the knockout, but it eventually led to a knockout. But that's when he did the damage there. But I'll give myself credit to start off this boxing segment, because I wrote for the LA Daily News, I think it was Thursday, and I said, yeah, this is a good matchup. Billy Joe Saunders, I'll say a decent matchup. I won't call it good, but I went, it's been a long time since Canelo has been challenged, on paper against a good boxer, because we know it's going to be a domination and a blowout, because I can't even give you the guys he's fought or pronounce the name of the last guy, Rocky Fielding. Maybe Caleb Smith was supposed to be a decent, but he ran through him too. But Billy Joe Saunders was supposed to be his best opponent since Gennady Golovkin in 2018. That's already 3 years ago, the rematch, where Canelo, was impressive. That was probably his best fight as the pro. He got a win. I know people were still split on the scorecards, but I think either way, I was fine with Canelo getting the W.
Yeah.
So since then, he's gone on a five. He had a five fight streak, or just being dominant. And Billy Joe Saunders, which I know people were kind of giving him a lot of credit because he's crafty, defensive, southpaw, but you look at his resume, he hasn't fought anybody. He has no power.
My friend JC put it like this: he's the Canelo of across the pond. And I'm like, damn, my buddy JC is not a huge Canelo fan.
I was gonna say, because this guy has no power whatsoever.
Well, no, he just meant like he hasn't fought anybody. Like, basically, my friend says that Canelo doesn't fight anybody. He picks and chooses whoever he wants.
Don't get me started with that one. Okay. Canelo for sure. I'm done arguing. He is the best pound for pound fighter in the world today. His resume is stacked. He's fighting champions.
What he did that second fight against Triple G was incredible. The way he went counter, he started doing different things. He came out ripped. He did a lot of different things, so I thought that was hilarious. Or I thought, not hilarious. What I thought was hilarious was Canelo walking through his hotel, and Billy Joe Saunders' team. I sent you that video, Gilbert. They're yelling at him, and he turns around and he says something. I can't repeat it, but he says something, and I just thought it was hilarious. So honestly, it was a good little rivalry. I mean, Canelo gave us a little bit more than usually what we get from him. He usually is like hugging up the other dude, like dapping him up. This guy, you could tell Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo did not like each other at all.
No, and that's why I wasn't really surprised with the knockout. You could tell he doesn't like him. Like you mentioned, the Mexican crowd was booing Billy Joe Saunders. But the reason why I was kind of predicting an easy matchup, because Billy Joe has no power, and Canelo's gonna go through. I'll give Billy Joe a couple credit for a couple rounds. He was crafty. He has some movement. He kind of was making Canelo miss a lot. But I just felt like when Canelo gets a couple of power punches, the fight was going to be over, and that's what occurred. But yeah, they had a nice little build-up. I think the build-up was kind of late. Like, I don't think Billy Joe Saunders was talking trash until the week of the fight. I don't know why you wait so long to promote a fight. But that was a cool little rivalry. But then what goes straight to my mind after the W, which I predicted is going to be an easy win for Canelo, I'm pat myself on the back for writing that, is where do you go from here? Because Canelo is running out of opponents. He is clearly the best in the three divisions he's been campaigning as: middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. And the thing for Canelo, he's such a big star. He needs a big name as well. So he's low on big names. He's low on good opponents. And I know they're mentioning Caleb Plant, and I don't think people have heard of Caleb Plant. He has the last belt that Canelo needs to be the
I hadn't heard of him.
Exactly. But he has the belt. And good thing for Caleb Plant. People say belts don't matter in boxing. Caleb Plant has the last belt that Canelo needs, and he's going to get a payday because he wants that belt to unify the whole division. So he's probably next, but it's going to be the same thing with like Billy Joe. He's going to beat him. Maybe if Canelo wants a big name and more money, it'll be Triple G. It's a trilogy, because Triple G is about to be 40. We've seen it already. So for me, I just don't know where Canelo goes from here to have big fights. And you kind of mentioned this, Fernando. I don't know if he knows this or he's comfortable, but speaking English is going to help him sell a fight. It's sad to say that, but the American public wants Canelo to speak English, and he was trash talking the whole time, this whole week in English, and it kind of got people interested, like, oh, Canelo talking English and not Spanish, and he was talking trash. The way you sell fights, it's to talk trash in English in the United States, and you get people interested. So maybe he could maybe go heel, to use a WWE term, Fernando, and kind of just, I would like that kind of. Yeah. So again, Fernando, I'm kind of talking a lot here, but I just don't know where he goes for opponents, and maybe Canelo trash talking is the way to do it.
You know, what's funny is that you mentioned that, and I just think of Conor McGregor a couple of years ago when he was on top. People were asking him, like, what do you think you're going to do next? He's like, I look around and I don't see crap. He's like, maybe I'll bring Floyd Mayweather out of retirement and knock his ass out. And I just got a laugh out of that. But man, I would love to see Mayweather and Canelo again. Man, that would, you know how much money they would make? I understand. Yeah, and I know Money Mayweather wouldn't take that fight. And I can say that right now. He wouldn't take that fight. This is a different Canelo. It's not the little kid that fought him a couple of years ago. Because I remember that fight, Gilbert, in the 11th and 12th round. Canelo really let it go. And Mayweather was like, oh, crap. Like, hey, dude, like, chill out. And, like, Canelo was letting it fly. And I was like, dude, if he knocks him out here, like, that might be crazy. But yeah, no, I definitely don't. I don't see it either. I mean, yeah, heel, but like, what, Pacquiao maybe? I mean, I just don't see where Canelo can really turn to. I don't see anybody up and coming. But man, yeah, no, I'm with you. I really don't know where he goes. He goes.
I'll give you one name, but it's just I hate when they try to force a name because he's a name, but it's the weight class divisions. Errol Spence Jr. is a welterweight champion who's from Dallas, so they will sell out AT&T Stadium.
Yeah,
but that's and Canelo's at super middleweight. That's two divisions apart. They're gonna probably force that one to be a payday, but other than that, I don't really see it.
Yeah, no, I don't see where Canelo's going, but I see where we're going next. Man, we have a good one coming up next. You guys aren't gonna want to miss our interview with Kirsten Watson. Obviously, Gilbert mentioned it. Man, I'm excited for this interview, Gilbert. And everybody stay tuned because we got some fire coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been excited for weeks to introduce this next guest. She's been crushing it on TV during Dodgers broadcasts. I'm talking about the amazing Kirsten Watson, reporter and host for the Dodgers on Spectrum Sportsnet LA. Kirsten, thank you for joining Compas on the Beat. How are you doing?
That was such a sweet intro. I am doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to have this conversation with you guys. You know, it's been a whirlwind of the last few months of everything in my life changing and joining the Dodgers, which has been incredible. But I'm excited to have this conversation and just kind of, I don't know, keep it real, have fun.
Yeah, that's what we're all about here at Compas.
Yeah, Kirsten, it was the intro that Fernando gave was great and deserving because I've seen you on daily now covering the Dodgers, you know, especially I love the post-game show where you're asking the first question. I'm like, I know Kirsten, Fernando, you know, has mentioned before, and we want to get you on the show, so we're glad to have you on. But Kirsten, you kind of mentioned before, you know, we got recorded because, you know, it's kind of been a little hectic. As you mentioned, in baseball, it's a daily thing. And I saw you one time, you know, you had to maneuver to the bleachers to talk to a fan who had nacho cheese all over their shirt. So you're like, you know, moving all over the place. Just kind of tell me a little bit about how the past few months have been for you. I think maybe you started around, you know, maybe February, March during spring training, and now it's kind of a daily thing. But so far, how's that been for you the past few months?
Yeah, no. So I started, it's actually kind of funny. My last day with the NFL was on a Friday, and Saturday morning, I was on a plane heading to spring training. So things took off very, very quickly. It was kind of like at Super Bowl, the week of Super Bowls when I found out I got the job. And I was like, this is so amazing, but I have to go do this major event. So I will get back to you guys as soon as possible. Like, this is amazing. I say yes, like I'm doing it. I just need to get through this week and I'll tell my company and all, etc. And so it was really a very quick transition into everything. But I must say, I have such an incredible team that is so supportive. My producer, you know, Oral and Joe, and even the studio team, John, Ned, Jerry, Nomar, everyone has been so helpful because with transitioning into a sport, really, it's not like I had their off season to prepare. And so I came off of one sport and right into another. And I've been working for the NFL for the past, 5 years now. And I also did some basketball here and there with WNBA and the Lakers, et cetera. But for the most part, I was working in football. And I don't think you realize when you're in one sport, as much as you're, you know, watching the playoffs or watching games of other sports and you are following in the news or even just like day-to-day news, when you work specifically in one sport, it's really mostly all you know. And so going into baseball, it's like, oh, yeah, I got the basics down. You know, I know baseball. Like, I can do this. And then all of a sudden I was working full time in baseball, and I was like, oh wow, I still like, there is a lot to baseball that I was not aware of. And I'm so, with learning and getting to know these guys in a COVID year, we're still in a pandemic, of course, the rules are different, the access is different. So I'm in this position in which I have to know so much about these guys, but each interaction with them I have with them is a new one. And I'm not getting to know them kind of just in the dugout or casually during batting practice or picking their brain about things here and there. The only time I really have with them is when we have cameras on or for Zoom interviews or whatever that looks like. And so it has been, it's been a challenge of learning them and getting a routine and all of that, because we did talk about, baseball's every day. There's a blessing, and I won't say a curse to it because it is a lot of fun, but there's a blessing to it in the sense of each day I'm learning something new. Each day is a day to get better. Each day is the best advice I received going into this sport was, if you mess up, there's always tomorrow, which is literally true, because I'll be honest, I messed up on one of my hits yesterday and I was like, oh, well, the game just started, so I have more hits I have to do. Then I have to do post game. So it's like, there's so much that's going to be done and you have to just let it go. And that's really the mindset that the players have as well. This is a sport of failure. You can hit the ball perfectly, and it could look like it's going to go out the park, and the wind could blow in it a little bit, and someone in the outfield is there to catch it, and there you're out, just like that. So it definitely has been such an incredible, everyone's been so welcoming and supportive. And it's truly been amazing. But it would be remiss if I didn't say it has truly been a whirlwind. I had days where I was like, what is up and what is down? I'm not sure. But we're just going to have to show up and we're going to do this. And that is life. And that's also growth. I think when you get a new opportunity and something that challenges you, and that was something I really wanted when I was leaving the NFL. I was looking for that next step, that next big opportunity. And this came, and it was more than I could have imagined and more. And it has challenged me. But I look back on where I was when my first spring training game, and from that moment to now, it's truly night and day. And I know that, we're only a month into season. Like, it's going to be leaps and bounds by the time this season is over. And then I look into next year and the year after. So it excites me every single day. And those are the moments you have to remember.
Kirsten, I wanted to ask you something you just mentioned right now was your first day at spring training. Do you have a fond memory or something, a story you want to share from your first day being, I think, in Arizona?
Yeah. So I knew how to score baseball, but I didn't know how to use a scorecard. And so my first day, I'm given a scorecard. And I'm like, so I know the purpose of this, and I know what this is, and I know how I'm supposed to use it, but so I ended up just making my own version of the scorecard. And it was so funny because I, of course, got a baseball tutor switching into a different sport to help me prepare. And so I guess maybe not, of course, but I did get a baseball tutor to help me. And right after the game, I called him and I was like, so I, again, know that this is to score the game, but I need you to walk me through exactly how to do. And we literally sat down for on the phone for a couple hours and just went through the entirety of the scorecard and, what could happen if double plays, if there's a balk, or if anything came up, like how you would kind of score that, and then using it to understand and prepare for post game and things like that nature. But that was definitely one of those kind of funny, oh, this is happening. And as much as I thought I was prepared for this moment, just little things like that. And I, of course, I used that, had my tutor, I learned everything, and then used the rest of spring training to kind of advance it. And so got to season. Honestly, spring training was the best thing that could have happened to me, because it allowed me to get through some of the kinks of this transition and really dive in. And when I took the job, and when the Dodgers and I were, when we were interviewing, they knew where my level of knowledge was, and they were like, we know that you can do this. And that is something I really do appreciate from them, but also from myself. I do believe that you can learn anything, and as long as you work hard and put your mind to it and really lock it in focus, and so but that was definitely kind of one of those moments. I was like, oh, wow, this is really happening. And I thought I was ready, but those little things. So yeah.
Hey, it's you're learning how to ride a bike. It's something new.
Yeah.
It's honestly awesome. But Did you, when you came into doing this, like, what was your mentality coming in? Obviously, with it being your first time on the job when it comes to baseball and stuff. And did you just want to come out here and be yourself, kind of in that sense, like report and do your thing, and not forget that you're Kirsten? You're gonna bring something different to this reporting element, basically.
Yeah, that was that's the most important part of it. And that's something, if I'm being transparent, I struggled with at first, because when you are going into a new sport and when you are filling a role in which you're there, the last reporter obviously was with the team for a very long time. She's incredible. She's been working in baseball for so long. And so I knew that there was an expectation from the Dodgers, from the fans, from a lot of people, for me to be at that same level. And that is a challenge when we have two very different experiences. I haven't been working in baseball for a long time. You know, this is my first time working in this sport. And so I had to really take a step back to be like, I can only be myself. That is truly all I can do. And that's also the reason why I was brought onto this team, was for me to be myself. And so, you know, as much as I can say this, and we can all say this right now, when you start interviewing or when you kind of are forced, or you just jump out there are times in which I felt like I had to listen to other reporters, and I was trying to keep up and, you know, making sure I was on track and asking the right questions and the right style of questions and sounding super knowledgeable about the sport and all these different things. And I was forcing myself, I was getting away from myself, because then I was picking on, or I was taking up on what other people around me were doing. And so I had to, and this is something I'm still working on. I mean, it's only been a month and a half, so like it's still very early. But I had to really take a step back, remember who I am, remember what I bring, because I do bring something different, you know, how I understand the game, how I understand these players, how I talk about it, or what I want to add to the broadcast. And from who I am and from my perspective, I had to really take a step back to be like, this is what I was hired for. This is who I am. This is who they saw, and this is what they wanted. And so it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, I went out there and I was like, I'm going to be myself and I'm so confident and I can do all these things, but that's not the reality. You go into any job and you feel like, you know, you want to keep up. You have to be the best person to give. And as much as I knew what I could be that, and I am confident in myself and I know what I do bring, it definitely does take time to really be that person. And if all of us are, when you're under pressure, you will pick up on what other people are doing and you want to fit in. And so having to kind of take that step back and realize, like, that's not how I ask questions, or that's not who I am. And so that's something I'm still working through. I feel like it's definitely getting kind of better now, but you have to remember, like, you just have to be yourself, because other times, and I mean, when the cameras turn on, you could easily have a mind blank and you're like, well, we're just gonna have to go with who I am and see what happens. And that is really that.
Yeah, and Kirsten, sorry, I'm
No, it's
not
fine.
going to butcher your name. Sorry,
Party foul.
I already messed up. Kirsten, I got it right. But you got to have fun with it, and I feel like you be yourself. And I feel like I see you having fun with the broadcast and Joe Davis and Earl Hershiser. How's that been for you to work with those two professionals?
They are so amazing. When I say I couldn't have asked for a more supportive team, like, if I have questions, if we've lost, and because that's the other thing with getting to know players, I don't have that luxury right now. So I'm really only getting to know them through the media availability. Whereas Joe and Oral, they know these guys so well. And so if someone's not playing well, or someone doesn't have their best outing on the mound, or whatever the case may be, it's amazing that I have them to talk to be like, hey, like, do you have any advice on what I should ask Kershaw today? Or do you have any advice on how I should frame this question for Trevor to really get the best answer that I want? Or, you know, I have Cody tomorrow. I did see this. Is that something I should hit on, or should I stay away from that? Like, they've given me so much advice, whether it's just really not talking to players about their numbers specifically, keeping it conversational, keeping it in ways that I'm allowing them to either take me to a certain moment in the game or to express how they were feeling about X point. Like, they help me navigate through so much of it. Also just with like routine and getting into the sport. I think that's something that's not necessarily as much talked about, from whether it's from the player side and how demanding it, like the sport is very demanding for them. It's such a mental grind. I think in the Mookie Betts GQ article that came out this summer, we kind of got a look into how he talked about, being in the game and talking to his fiance, and just, sometimes at one point, I think one of the coaches were like, "You're distracted." And he was like, "I'm not, I just have to take a minute to I'm out here for a very long time," or how he would have rap battles growing up in the outfield and just fun things like that. Like it is such, I don't think I realized how much of a mental game it is, not only for the players, but even from the broadcast team, because it is very demanding on ourselves and just getting routine in our personal lives and managing and knowing that, I see them every day at this rate. So they've been so welcoming and everything. Learning from them is so incredible. Hearing, because that's the other thing. It's like, even when I listen to the broadcast, I'm learning some things as well, just as much as the fans are. So to kind of have that moment, but then I also get to go and talk to them. So imagine a fan, you're listening to them, they're telling you a story that's so amazing. But I get the luxury of after the story, I get to be like, "So you were talking about this. Can I ask you to dive in on this? I need you to kind of break this down for me." Or, Laurel and I were talking about bullpen sessions the other day, and just being able to have someone like them that's just can break the game down for me, that's so open to just talk about anything, so supportive. They've really been wonderful, and it's such a pleasure and a privilege that I honestly have to work with them.
That's very cool to hear that you're getting help and you're having fun at the same time. But I kind of want to get the center of the team. It might be a little tough, being on Zoom, the weird thing we're kind of dealing with now as reporters. But what's kind of the mood? I know you can't, I was going to say locker room. You can't really be in the locker room, but what's kind of the mood with the Dodgers? Because they're coming off a World Series run, a championship run, and they still have a lot of talented players, like you mentioned, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw and Justin Turner. So I'm guessing those guys are part of the leaders. But does it feel like there's a lot of pressure to kind of repeat? Because they're struggling right now. I'm going to say, they're not kind of doing too well right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's the pressure to repeat. I would say that as a team, when you win, you have a target on your back. And that was something that Mookie shared going into the season, since he had been in that position. He was like, when you come off of a World Series champion, every team is going to give you their best and give you their all to win. So, and that's not to say every game that's not saying teams don't go to win every single game. It's just, there's more desire from the opponent to we got to beat the World Series champions, we're going to show them who's the best this year. And I think, as it is, we've seen playoff caliber level games already in April against the Padres. So it's you see that. I wouldn't say from the guys there, they would say there's not the pressure to go back to back. So what there is, though, is it's interesting because they didn't get to celebrate the World Series last year with fans, with the community, honestly, with each other too much. And Justin Turner, he's spoken about it often, that he wants to be in the game for that final out. He wants to be on the field, to be in that dog pile, to be able to have that moment. And so I think that's more of the pushing edge for them. It's to do it again, to celebrate with each other, to celebrate with fans, to really have that, the parade and all of that, especially something you work so hard for. It's such a long season, and to grind continuously to get to that moment is so major. So I would say that's more of the factor from their end. It's not really the outside pressures or, fans or whatever the case may be. It's really just, we want to be able to have this moment with each other and with to celebrate this within Los Angeles and get that moment, to get the, the champagne showers and all of these things and going to and having the parade. So I'd say that's more of the driving factor. They're a super confident team. They know how good they are. They're very self-aware of that. They know that right now things aren't looking as good. It is frustrating for them. Trevor Bauer yesterday said he was pissed. He's like, I came to this team to win. He wants to win. And he's such a competitor, and this team is so competitive. And I'd say that's one of the biggest things I've noticed about them. It's just really seeing how they are when they win, when they lose, when navigating through this moment right now, because it is clear that some of the frustrations coming out, and so right now, it's tough because we're seeing moments where it's like things are going to take off very quickly. And even Dave Roberts yesterday, he was saying that it looks like things are turning. We're in the moment. So yes, we did lose yesterday, but it was a game in which things were looking right. It wasn't like some of the defensive errors that we've been seeing, chasing the ball, like we just pressing, some of those other things we've been seeing. The pitching has been fantastic. We had some bullpen struggles. We are dealing with some injuries right now. So those are more of, we just got to get out of that. But it does seem like the light that's at the end of the tunnel is closer and closer each day. So they are feeling, but they're feeling confident. Like, are they worried? No. Still very early in the season. But do they want to win? Yes. And do they think right now it's the time to win? 100%.
Kirsten, you talked about the Dodgers and the Padres going at it. I mean, can you talk about the intensity that was, that 4-game stretch? I mean, we had Trevor Bauer tweeting at his dad, Fernando Tatis Jr., asking him, talking crap, and then Tatis told him, settle down, I'm your dad, chill out, all that stuff. So it, to me, to Gilbert, I'm sure it felt like a playoff intensity. It feels like a playoff intensity kind of matchup. Just, I mean, we still have 12 more of these games. Just how incredible was that series? And also, do you feel like we could be seeing a little bit of a preview of the NLCS when we see the Padres and Dodgers matchup? Because it feels like the Padres would do something in free agency, the Dodgers would match it. The Dodgers would do something, the Padres would match it. So it just feels like it feels like that's where we're headed pretty soon. What have you thought about the rivalry between the Padres and the Dodgers? I
have thought it's been very exciting. So it is. I remember so when they're away, we don't go on the road. I am in a suite at Dodger Stadium, and I was literally pacing throughout the suite multiple times. So I've never worked playoff baseball before, so I've watched it as a fan, of course, and it felt like the intensity from it. But I think working it instead of just being a fan, very different. So I definitely felt it. The conversations of rivalry, I believe that this is a rivalry that is budding. I really do. I think we saw that with whether it was words that were exchanged, whether it was, there were so many different things. So I do believe that's definitely a rivalry that is going to be an incredible one for years to come. We're going to see this in the playoffs. I have no doubt about it. And it's going to continue to get even better. I think you could see that that series was physically, emotionally, mentally tolling on everyone, but it was so much fun. And honestly, I think what Trevor said it best, talking about how this is what baseball needs. This is what there's so much talk about making the game fun again and more exciting to a younger audience and all of these things. And that's exactly what that series did. It brought in such great, I don't know the viewership numbers, but I imagine they were amazing. And so I was listening actually to Buster Olney on Baseball Tonight, the podcast, and Charles Barkley on. I think he did. We should confirm this, but I'm pretty sure it was Charles Barkley. Yeah. And he was talking about that series and just getting the viewership of so many people talking about it, watching it. I think that's exactly what's about to happen, and it's only going to continue, and it's going to get better and better. And it was so much fun. But literally, I was pacing, stressed.
you know what's funny? I remember watching you during the NBA Finals. The Lakers had just won their 17 championship, and I see you obviously with a mask on reporting during a pandemic in the streets, and it was flooded with people. Just can you talk about what that was like to have to cover something like that?
It was amazing. It was my first time doing something like that. And it was to be in a city like Los Angeles, to cover the sports here, one is incredible and something I've only dreamed of. And so to be there, to see so many people coming together, especially in a time in which we haven't been able to do that. And so to see the power of sport continue to just bring out the emotions in everyone, to give that just the moment of celebration, to see the fireworks going off, it was incredible. And especially, obviously, this was the year in which, last year was a year in which we saw passing of Kobe Bryant. And so there was so much buildup and so many emotions that were tied to that, for the players to be in the bubble. I can only imagine what it would have been like and will be like when they win in Los Angeles and they with fans there and all of those things. So it was so incredible. Like there's definitely like one of those moments and it's like, oh, this is a lot. There's like the fans, the police, it's a pandemic, and the mask. Like, it was just so much, but it also was like, this is the most incredible memory, and I was so grateful to be a part of it. Like it's truly, those are moments that will go down in history. And it's funny. So I was working when I was with the South Bay Lakers. I was spending time with South Bay Lakers, and for Christmas, they gave us these little gift boxes, and it has this Lakers wine. And I always said I was going to open it when the Lakers won. It's like, if I'm covering the team, I'll open it when they win. Like, how amazing. And of course they won, and I'm covering the team, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how amazing. But I decided to save it because I was like, I was going to open it, but I decided to save it only because I was by myself, and I was like, I don't want to drink the whole bottle of wine, but like, I kind of was like, I don't really need that right now. But I was just like, I want to be able to experience it with them in person, and that's when I will crack open the bottle of wine. I was like, I'm going to save it, and I feel like it's going to come again soon. But it definitely, it was amazing, like in awe.
You made the right call, but nothing wrong with drinking alone. Every now and then, it's okay. But Kirsten, a little bit more about yourself before I let you go. We got the Dodger part, but I'm curious because also I saw you work with the Chargers during Hard Knocks. I think you're doing the post game or post show. I think with Matt Money Smith. So you've kind of done a little bit of everything. You mentioned the NFL. Fernando mentioned the NBA. But how did you get started in broadcast journalism, or guess what was your path? When did you kind of know you wanted to be a journalist?
Yeah, it's a really great question. So I was a volleyball player when I was younger. It was being an athlete was really all that I was concerned about when I was in high school. And I would always watch College Game Day because, one, I was being recruited to college, and it's funny. It's what I didn't end up getting, but it was something I always dreamed of. I wanted to go to the big state school or these big schools with the really big football teams and like work as like an ESPN student reporter and do all of these things. That was kind of like, well, that's where I got to. But like, that was kind of like when I started watching the show, that was the vision. Samantha Ponder at the time was the host. Erin Andrews and then Samantha Ponder had stepped in. She was the host and the reporter. And I was just so in awe of that show, everything they did. Still is one of my dreams. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do post volleyball, and my parents were very adamant of like, you need to come up with like, volleyball's not forever. What do you want to work in? Do you want to work in sports? What side of it? Community? Like, what do you want to do? So watching the show, I would just be like, I want to do that. And my parents were like, great. We don't really know how you do that, but great. So let's figure it out, how to get into this space. And then of course, journalism is kind of the obvious one there. And this is now like my junior year of high school. I did not work at like the school newspaper. I did not work at the school TV channel in high school and yearbook. I didn't do any of that. Again, I was just focused on being a volleyball player. But when I was being recruited, I started to realize, okay, well, if I want to do journalism, I need to go to a journalism school. So all the colleges I looked at were primarily ones that had, or universities were ones with communications, journalism, et cetera. So I started at Northwestern in their Medill School of Journalism, got my first taste of it. There were some things I was really good at. There were some things I was really bad at. So I had to definitely learn. But I knew once I got into the program, learning more about it, I was like, wow, that's something I really want to do. But it also made me realize like I only want to do sports or entertainment. I never was someone who wanted to do hard news. I carry the emotions of things, and I just couldn't imagine. It would be really hard for me to just, even with everything happening in the world right now, police brutality, all that just would have been really hard for me to cover. So I always knew sports was really my thing, and I connected with so many athletes, whether I was me training with them growing up, just playing with them, that was just the community I was in. So that's what everything really started when I ended up transferring from Northwestern to Columbia. So as much as I told you guys, I wanted to go to that big state school to get the college football team and all these different things and be working on the team and all of it. None of that happened. I went to Columbia. Our football team was awful. I'm so sorry. Go Lions. But like, I just didn't get any of that. But I had to find other ways. So I worked for the radio station at Columbia. I then got an internship with CBS Sports, and my boss on the production side. So I started in production, and my boss at CBS, she used to be at NFL Network. She then made a connection for me at NFL Network. And then I, being in New York City, had I think I can say that now, I have like a fake ID. So I'm like, it is what it is. And the woman whose ID I was using, she worked at NFL Network. She was one of my brother's friends. So I ended up just getting some of these connections. They helped me get a job at NFL Network on the production side. Once I was there, I realized reporting and hosting was really what I wanted to do. So then I decided to go back to grad school. I was going to go to USC, ended up getting into Columbia as well. Then I was like, man, I can't say no to the Ivy League again. Like, I got to go back, I got to go back. So then I went back to Columbia for journalism school. Really, that was where I really dived into writing, making a reel, all of those things. And then from there, I came back to LA to work for the NFL again, but this time on the international side. And that's what took me all over the world in ways and grew me in ways I never really could have imagined.
So Gilbert, I don't know if you know this about your boy, but he's a little bit international. I mean, and you were there too. We went to Mexico City. I got introduced to Kirsten by MJ Acosta, friend of the show. We've had her on NFL Network. I remember we met at a event. We were at a Mexican restaurant. And MJ, obviously being Miss Popular, she was talking to everybody was saying hi to her. So Kirsten, my brother, Daniel, and myself just got to talking and it was a great time. But Kirsten, what really interested me is what you wrote your thesis on for your master's program. Gilbert will be very interested with this, but I know it knocked my socks off. Can you talk a little bit about what your thesis was for your master's program?
Yeah, so that's funny. We did meet in Mexico City, which is amazing for the Mexican game. But my master's project was on the history of Black quarterbacks in the NFL. And basically, so I had to take a minute about really what I wrote about. But
I didn't even put you on the spot. I just
no. You're honestly, totally fine.
When you broke it down for us, I remember Daniel and I, as soon as we're left, we're like, "Wow, that was incredible."
No, I got it. It just took me a minute to bring it all back, but because it was really one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on. Something I really am passionate about long term. But so basically I dived in to do some more research about, with Black quarterbacks, with franchise quarterbacks being the face of an organization, with how players are talked about and communicated about. It's very interesting when you compare a white quarterback to a Black quarterback, because the words that are used, the style in which they play, the positions in which they are like, oh, well, how he runs or whatever, he should be a running back. And so you often see quarterbacks the college level, once they get to the professional level, are switched from their positions. And so from that, I decided to just kind of like dive in. And there are two books. Well, there's two books by Bill Rhoden from ESPN that he wrote. One is, I think it's $1 Million Slave is one. And then the other one is Third and a Mile. Yeah, Third and a Mile. So those two books are phenomenal. So you should recommend you reading them, if anything. And from the research there, in Third and a Mile specifically, he talks about the dynamics of Black quarterbacks all the way back to the beginning, like Fritz Pollard and all these people. And so I chose to dive into that, and then to also just kind of look at it more present day, and so where we were. And so that was the year that Deshaun Watson was being drafted. I think that was like Watson, Mahomes,
Patrick
Lamar
Mahomes.
Jackson.
And Lamar Jackson was the year later with Josh Allen.
A year later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trubisky was 2017.
Trubisky was that. It was Trubisky
exactly.
and
Trubisky
Mahomes
was the early draft pick.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and it was kind of around the time in which the draft was going on. And so my professor at Columbia, she had worked at ESPN. And so she helped me kind of really make these connections with all these different people. I talked to Heisman winners. I talked to, of course, why is this coming to a blank right now?
Super Bowl champions?
Yes, I spoke to Super Bowl champion. Like I spoke to all these different people. But I was thinking of, goodness.
National champions.
No, he works for the NFL right now and played at Penn State. was a quarterback, but then was converted to running back.
Oh, Michael Robinson?
Mike Robb. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hi, Mike Robb. I did not forget your name. I just had a moment of blank. It's been a long week. So Mike Robb really helped me through a good amount of my project. He was kind of one of the focal points on it because he had this experience of being a successful quarterback at Penn State in NCAA, and then being recruited and going to the NFL and completely having to switch positions. And so hearing his conversations, just from everything from when they're taking their tests to, internal conversations they have with coaches and player personnel and how things are being reviewed. It was so fascinating and interesting. And so, it's funny we've seen a lot of the work today. I think NFL media has done a lot of really interesting things around it, especially with like Black History Month and telling the stories of these quarterbacks. But even like, it's funny, once I did the research and the project, when you listen to broadcasts and even when you listen to the draft, when you listen to how conversations are being discussed about these players, specifically Black quarterbacks, that is, you'll notice it. And so I think now they're trying, of course, people are trying to change and do better in how they're communicating about everything, but it's still something that's so prevalent. I mean, even with Lamar Jackson, how many times are people like, oh, he should be a running back. Oh, da, da, da. Like, it still happens. It's like, no, or he can just be a quarterback that's really fast and knows how to run. Like, why can't that just be a new standard? So no, it was super fascinating, and I feel like I didn't really do it justice about talking about it right now. It's been a minute since I've looked back on it.
No. I thought it's awesome.
Yeah, no, but it really was. It was my favorite part about grad school. And it's funny because I had to push to write about that. Like, there were multiple times where I was told that, like, that's not a good thesis. And I was like, but it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jedi
even
mind trick.
Working in sports, like, I was told so many times, well, that's not real journalism. And I would be like, what's not real about it? I really don't understand. And I had to really like kind of push Columbia to be like, okay, no, you're right. This is journalism, not just political or hard news. Like, that's not the only part of journalism that's out there. And so, I had to definitely like be vocal and show that I was passionate. And even I ended up switching thesis. So like my first person who was in charge of my thesis, I had to like request to opt out of having her because she just wasn't necessarily supporting what I really wanted to do. And then luckily I ended up getting Jane, who was at ESPN and was my who was my thesis and my sports journalism professor. So being able to have her in my corner and like so supportive and super helpful. Like, I spoke to such incredible people, and I definitely had to like hawk down Bill Rhoden and be like, so I tweeted him, I emailed him, I was messaging him in all these different ways. And I was like, hi, so I read your books and I'm writing this thesis on these things. And I would really love to talk to you. And please.
That's awesome.
Let's try it again. And then it's funny now that I know him personally and I've met him, and like, he said, I was like, yeah, you did. You found a way. I was like, listen, I was determined. So
there you go. Well, Kirsten, we definitely appreciate you coming on with Compas. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
I would just say for everyone looking to get into journalism, sports journalism, there is no one path. My path looks very different than some of my friends, from some of my classmates and colleagues, from whether it's Columbia journalism, whether it's the NFL, whether it's every single person's path is different in how you make it. And it takes time. I think that's one of those things, because it's not a traditional path, and you just have to continue to believe in yourself and know that what is meant for you is for you, and whatever that looks like. Because it could be baseball, it could be basketball, it could be football, it could be UFC, it could be anything, and just follow your passions and know that what is meant for you is for you, and it'll all work out exactly how it's supposed to. Those are things that I had to remember. Like, it does take time, and everything in the end, everything that I have done up until this point, whether it's working for NFL International, being a production assistant for the features team for the NFL, working on Backstage Dodgers as a production assistant for what was it, like 3 months before going to grad school, like whatever it is, all of those things will come back, and it's amazing how full circle it is, because from being a production assistant and watching, at the time it was Alana Rizzo and Kelly Tennant who were Alana was the main reporter, but Kelly Tennant would step in here and there, and watching them on shoots. And in my head, I think I probably was like, wow, that's like, I would love to do that one day. And now my picture is literally on the wall with the two of them at Dodger Stadium, and I'm in that position. Like, it's crazy how things like that happen. And so it's so amazing. And it's such an incredible group of people, and just know that, again, what's meant for you is for you. And sometimes you may not know what that was. I'll be honest, I don't think I saw that baseball was in my cards, and it is. And it's now a part of my daily life. And I am so fortunate and so grateful for it.
Welcome back. Now it's time for Una Mas, brought to you by Garrison Brothers Bourbon. Gilbert, this weekend is a huge WWE pay-per-view. It's WrestleMania Backlash. What are you going to have next to you when you're watching this? Because I can recommend something, but I think you know where I'm going with this.
I don't know, but I don't even know this about me, Fernando. But I know I got the best behind me, Bianca Belair. But I'm also a really big fan of Charlotte Flair, and she's kind of been out the game for a little bit, so I'm excited to see her back in pay-per-view, and I think in a triple threat championship match. So is that the one you're recommending? Because I want to see that one,
bro. But what are you going to be drinking? That's my question.
Oh, I'm gonna get ahead.
No. That's my question. I'm going to recommend something for you to drink, but I think you understand where I'm going with this.
Sorry, I just botched
the
whole promo there, but obviously bourbon, man. What are you talking about? I know I'm drinking in a Modelo, obviously, but hey. We're getting sponsored. I'm gonna enjoy it.
Love it. But so WrestleMania Backlash, you know me. I mean, I love this. I love wrestling. It's this Sunday. I get hyped for this kind of stuff. So obviously, this weekend we got a couple of matches going on. So let's start off first with something that you mentioned, Bianca Belair. She's pulling up her SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley. The promo hasn't really lived up to what I was hoping it would live up to, but man, Bianca is on fire right now. There is no one stopping her. She got a tag team the other day with her husband, who's part of the Street Profits. It was awesome to see it. Now they're going to wrestle this weekend. I think it's going to be a good match. Honestly, I like Bianca Belair, though. And Gilbert, you have her right behind you. I know you're a huge Bianca Belair fan. Man, when she uses that hair to whip people, you can hear it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just see the strength that she has. So when I see her wrestle opponent, I just see her just kind of, outwork them, just be the best, the strongest, the fastest, all that. I'm going to say the promo there, but yeah, I haven't been keeping up too much after WrestleMania, but has she been used? Is the whip back still, or is that a one-time thing for Mania?
No, she's using it. But the thing is, the other day Bayley stepped on her hair, so she wasn't able to use it. So man, I'm telling you, that rivalry is going to be exciting. I got Bianca winning that match. I just think Bianca right now is on fire. I just don't see how WWE is going to be able to give the championship to anybody else.
Keep that title reign going.
100%. Now let's move on. This one's going to be exciting. Man, growing up, I know a lot of you people know, I grew up in San Diego. What's the area code in San Diego, Gilbert?
619, Rey Mysterio.
Boom. Rey Mysterio was my dude. Like, I loved watching Rey, little man, underdog. It's funny, the other day, somebody put up, if you see this match, if you believe, it was the Great Khali, Mark Henry versus the Big Show versus the Great Khali versus Rey Mysterio. They're like, people telling me wrestling ain't fake, but Rey Mysterio beat all three of these men in a fatal four-way match. So I mean, it's a lot of fun. But I love watching Rey. This weekend, him and Dominic, his son. You remember Dominic, right?
Yeah,
Gilbert?
Yeah, when he was a little kid.
He's all grown up now. He's wrestling with his dad. They're gonna face Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Robert Roode is the dude that goes glorious. It gets exciting, bro. And Dolph Ziggler, obviously, we already know who he is. They're gonna be going for the tag team titles. Man, this is exciting, Gilbert. I mean, getting to see a father and a son get to wrestle together, Rey Mysterio and Dominic. I'm gonna take them this weekend. I feel like their dreams come true. They become the SmackDown tag team champions. But man, watching Rey Mysterio and him, they do a double 619. So like what? So obviously Dominic is left-handed and Rey Mysterio is right-handed. So they do it from the opposite sides, and they 619. So it's honestly fun to see father.
You gotta watch this.
You gotta watch this. It's gonna be an exciting match.
And And I said that Peacock too, so I get to watch it again.
Fun fact:
Nice.
Dominic Mysterio is actually a LA Dodgers fan.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah.
interested. I want
So
to see little Rey Mysterio, see what he does.
That's a little fun fact for you. Let's move on to the. Let's go. You know what? These matches haven't been announced, so I'm not even going to say those. Let's go with the Raw women's match: Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair.
That's
Let me tell you, this match is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be exciting, Gilbert.
I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of the Flair family. You wanted to give me a woo because you probably have the voice for it.
Woo! I don't even do the little strut.
There you go.
I'll even do the little strut.
I want to see Charlotte Flair bring that back because I think, I don't want to do a competition right now with Bianca and Charlotte, but I think Charlotte's probably the best still wrestler out there. So hopefully they're gonna build up this Charlotte Flair Bianca thing. I know they're different shows, Raw, SmackDown brand, but I'm kind of torn between the two. But I'm really excited to see Charlotte Flair coming back to a pay-per-view event.
You're forgetting somebody, Gilbert. I mean, and my girl Becky Lynch, and she's right over there, right over there.
Is she coming back though? Where is she?
She just had a kid. She had a daughter.
When was she born?
I think a couple of months ago. But they're teasing that she's going to be back pretty soon. It was incredible the wait last year. So last year, Asuka wins the Money in the Bank, right? And Becky comes out and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna relinquish my title," and everybody's like, "What is going on? Why?" And she's like, "It's time for me to step aside, take some time away." And then Asuka she's like, "Asuka, do you know what is in this briefcase?" Asuka comes out and she's like, "No, I'm getting goosebumps right now." So Asuka, she's like, "Open it up," and Asuka opens it up and it's the women's championship. She's like, "What happened?" She's like, You're the women's champion. And Asuka's all confused. She's like, "So you go be the best champion you can, and I'm gonna go be the best mother I can." And Asuka goes, "You're gonna have a baby?" And then she's like, "Yeah." And Asuka gets all excited and starts cheering and stuff. So yeah, Becky's been out for a little bit with being a mother and everything. Yeah. So I think when Becky comes back, all hell's gonna break loose and it's gonna be exciting. But for right now, I'm sorry, Gilbert. I'm gonna have to go against you. I'm gonna go Rhea Ripley. They just brought her up from NXT. I think she's on fire right now. They love her. They love the little swagger that she has, the way she kind of talks crap and everything. So I have them keeping it on the belt on her just because I think she's too talented. She's really making a name for herself. And if you can beat Charlotte Flair and Asuka in a triple threat match, man, that goes a long way for her. And let's go next with the WWE Championship. We're going with it's Bobby Lashley, the reigning champion, Bobby Lashley. I love me some Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman. Do they have enough ring for all three of these monsters to be in?
That's a massive triple threat right there.
That's a huge triple threat. It's going to be exciting though. I think each of them, I mean, obviously Drew McIntyre lost his championship to The Miz a couple of months. Shout out to The Miz. He lost it to The Miz when he cashed in his Money in the Bank. And then Bobby Lashley beat The Miz for it. And then it was Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. Now it's a triple threat. They added Braun Strowman in there. Braun Strowman's a big man. He's a locomotive.
Get these hands.
Oh, yeah. Come and get these hands. He's a big man. So it's going to be an incredible match. I think there's going to be a lot of carnage. I just feel like guys are going to get thrown. People are going to get, it's going to be a lot. I think weapons are going to be used. I'm 100%. And then we all know MVP is there. He's obviously Bobby Lashley's manager. I think MVP is going to be a huge part of this match. Maybe he'll help Bobby Lashley, but I got Bobby Lashley winning this match and retaining. I just think Bobby's on fire right now. I just don't see how you can take the championship off of him. He's way too good.
That's a pretty good, main event. I'm not sure if it's a main event, but with the men's championship, it's pretty solid. Especially Braun Strowman coming off that big, was it Hell in a Cell match or a cage match against Shane McMahon?
Yep.
So he's now in the title mix. So good to see Braun, because I remember Braun came out on fire for a good year, and then he kind of fell back a little bit. So he's back in the title picture for Braun Strowman, and I'm a big fan of the get these hands. So I'm excited for this card. And you sold me now. I feel like I always kind of shipped away from WrestleMania after like well, after WrestleMania, I shifted away from WWE. You know, I get the Royal Rumble, the road to WrestleMania, and then I kind of like slowly go away. Maybe I come back for SummerSlam. But you got me back in. Backlash it is. I'm watching.
Bro, and I'm not even done selling you yet. I got one more match for you.
More? Oh my God, jeez. Okay, let's go.
You better acknowledge your tribal chief when Roman Reigns comes to the ring and wrestles Cesaro. You better acknowledge him. He's not playing around right now. Roman Reigns wants you to acknowledge him as your tribal chief. He is your leader. And right now he ain't playing games. So Roman Reigns just, in a sense, retired Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is negotiating a new contract with WWE. I think AEW is also looking at him. So Roman Reigns beat him a couple of weeks ago, and he has to leave SmackDown. So he could either go to Raw if he comes back to WWE, or he could be going to another promotion. But Daniel Bryan's been there for years, so it'll be interesting to see if he decides to stay with WWE or go elsewhere. But Roman is now dealing with Cesaro. Cesaro right now is the hottest he's been in a long time. He's a Swiss Superman. He's the one, you know which one, Gilbert, the one that does the spinning. He goes like this, and you know people are going to be taken for a ride.
They count.
I've seen him do 25, and I'm like, oh my God, I would have thrown up already. So it's incredible to see him, the Swiss Superman. He does a lot of stuff, so it's going to be interesting. Cesaro's really hot right now. He beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Could he cash in and finally win the championship? And plus, there's a little bit of a twist. He had his cousin Jey Uso with him. Roman Reigns doesn't. He has Paul Heyman. But then Jimmy Uso just came back from injury, the Uso brothers. Yeah. And Jimmy Uso said, I ain't going to be nobody's bit. He said he's not gonna bow down to Roman Reigns, that he's doing his own thing. He's trying to convince his brother. So, Gilbert, could they cost their tribal chief, their cousin, the WWE Universal Championship? You're going to have to tune in, Gilbert. My pick is, though, the tribal chief continues being the tribal chief. I think Roman Reigns' character is way too strong right now. I think he is the best thing going, and I'm very interested to see if Cesaro can beat him, but I'm going to go Roman Reigns. I just think his character is way too strong.
Is this tribal chief thing new? I have not heard that one from Roman Reigns.
Yeah, so it just started ever since he got back in August. You know, he took some time off because he battled leukemia.
Yeah.
And then he came back and he's like, hey, I don't know what COVID is. I don't know what's going on. I need to take some time, separate. He literally did not go out. He said all he did was go out to the gym, and that was it, that he wouldn't go out because he didn't know how this could affect him, being somebody who's recovering from leukemia. But he came back as the tribal chief. He joined. It's funny. Paul Heyman did the whole shtick with Brock Lesnar, and he said, I'm done. I'm done being on TV. Unless it's with Brock Lesnar, I'm done. Well, Roman and WWE pitched him to be with Roman, but he doesn't really talk for Roman the way he did for Brock. But he hypes up, man. He's like, he just tells him, he's like, this is your tribal chief. You have to come out here and do this for your tribal chief. And he gets all hyped. So I think the addition of Paul Heyman has just added even more to that character. But yeah, no, Roman actually won the match. So he got offered I think it was at SummerSlam. He got offered a championship. No, after SummerSlam. He gets offered, I can't remember what pay-per-view was after that. There's supposed to be a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Roman doesn't come out for the match. Everybody's like, what's going on? Whatever, one-on-one. As soon as the guy wins with the championship, I seriously can't remember who it was. Roman comes in after, beats his butt, pins him, and that's it. And that's how his heel character got started. He came out and he picked up on the bone. He picked the bones off. He pins him, and that's it. So it was a great one. So there you go. I got Roman Reigns winning this one.
I'm caught up now,
bro.
I'm caught up on Roman
got
Reigns.
You. I'm so hyped for this weekend. It's gonna be a great one. Gilbert, what you gonna watch it?
Well, yeah, you sold me already, man. Like I feel like you didn't take a breath right there on the whole tribal chief catch up. So I am caught up. I'm good to see Paul Heyman still working and working with a champion like that. So I'm ready to watch.
You better acknowledge him. I'm telling you, he ain't playing around.
Okay,
but you know, yeah, I'm sold, man. We want to acknowledge something before we head out. Obviously, we're recording this earlier, but this weekend was Mother's Day. So Gilbert and I want to acknowledge our mothers. My mother, who's been an incredible part of my life. I mean, she's honestly my best friend. We've been through a lot, and I mean, anytime during my journey of making it to where I'm at today, she was always right behind me, encouraging me, telling me, hey, take this risk. Don't be scared. Do this, do that. So honestly, it's been incredible. And all these risks that I've taken have been because my mom has told me, don't be scared. Don't be scared. If you fail, so what? Just start over and we'll do something new. And I mean, there's been times, I'm not going to lie, there's times where I'm frustrated, I'm angry, and all this stuff. And the only person that can really talk me down is my mom. And she tells me, hey, be patient. And like, it's like anybody else can tell me something, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever, whatever. But then when it's your mom telling you, it really hits you hard. So honestly, my mom's been everything, strength, compassion, and she's given me everything literally I could ever ask for, and then some. I'm honestly very lucky, and I just wanted to give her a special shout out and thank her, and happy Mother's Day to her. And I try and make every day Mother's Day, even though I curse, I do this, I do that, whatever. I mean, I give her a hard time sometimes, but it's just out of love, just to give her a hard time. And honestly, I'm truly blessed to have the mother that I have.
Yeah, I could say a lot the same qualities you said for your mom. I could say for my mom Manzano. I'm very close to mom because she raised me, but she was a single mother. I was the oldest of five siblings. I am the oldest of five siblings, and we had some tough times. We grew up together. I remember, I'm talking about Ubers and Lyft earlier, but me and my mom took the bus everywhere. We didn't have a car. We weren't raised, with a lot of money. So we struggled a lot. And at the same time, my mom was always very supportive. Like, you go to school, you do the right thing. So, I know it's kind of at times kind of a language barrier and a culture barrier because, I am first generation. My mom, was raised in Mexico. She came here, raised me. So, I see different things, and she has, she's used to other things. But the one thing you want to ask for people you really love is support. And my mom always has support for me. And she said, you want to be a journalist, you go and be the best journalist. I'll support you along the way, because I think she raised me to make the right decisions and the right moves, and she could trust me to do that. And that's that's credit to her. She raised me to make the right moves, and like you mentioned, like, supportive, take a chance, do this. You want to do that, mijo? Go ahead. So always supported. That's the one thing I want to say about this Mother's Day is, thank you, Mom, for always being there for me.
And thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mama Manzano, for raising such a great guy. And now, look, we're doing this podcast. One day, maybe we should do a Mother's Edition. I don't think my mom would like that, though. I think she'd be too nervous to jump on.
Yeah, same here with my mom. But no, I'm glad we took a second to give a shout out to our mom, and credit to your mom also. My mama Ramirez, I got to meet her, and she's a great woman.
I need to meet Mama Manzano soon, just to have a good time and everything. But definitely, if it wasn't for those two strong, powerful women, we wouldn't be where we're at today. And honestly, they say that a boy has a different relationship with his mother, and it's true. I mean, I have a super strong, and I could tell off of you also, we have strong relationships with our mothers, and that's honestly been the best part about this whole thing, is getting to see. And then when they tell you they're proud of you, man, that just, everybody else can tell you they're proud of you, but when it's your mother, man, it hits different.
Yeah, you're right. When you get a new job or you're doing something great, you call your mom and you tell her, and she's like, I'm proud of you. That's the best feeling. You're right.
Yeah, and that's the first person you have to call, because, man, you know what happens if that's not the first person. So
Exactly.
thank you to everybody for listening to us. We're definitely excited for some stuff coming up. We ain't gonna give a lot away too soon, but we have a lot of great stuff coming up. Thank you for rocking with us. And Gilbert, you got anything else before we head out?
No, I'm ready. I'm listo. ¿Ya nos vamos?
Vámonos.
Pues vámonos.